It's time for a best of 5 series of top-level StarCraft 2 between the highest-ranked Protoss on the planet and the highest-ranked Terran. Spawning right here in the bottom left-hand corner with a little polar bear on the main command center. We're looking inside of the main base of Clem. In the upper right, playing in blue, playing with Protoss, you have hero. Now, I did see a probe move straight across the map. And when hero is playing, you have to keep an eye out. Of course, hero is certainly not somebody that's afraid to mix it up. Now, Protoss versus Terran, at least most of the time, is a little bit more standardized, at the very least from like the Terran's point of view. Terran doesn't have nearly as much wiggle room in this matchup as they have in some others, but Protoss still has a few tricks up their sleeve, and nobody more so than hero. Hero's been winning pretty much all the tournaments he's been entering lately. He's been on absolute fire ever since the new StarCraft 2 patch dropped. And yes, I'm gonna call it the new patch, even if it's been like 3 months, okay? Nobody can do anything. Okay, look, maybe I should say... I know that Grubby, for example, talking about any Warcraft 3 update, always uses the word recently. And sometimes Grubby, when he talks about recently, he means like 2006, 2008. Everything's recently. So maybe I should... Yeah. The recent patch for StarCraft 2, you know? The one that really shook up the meta? Ever since the recent patch. Hero has been on fire. Cybercore right now inside of the main base, though. Just a very normal start, at least for Hero's standards. This is actually, all things considered, a little bit odd. Most of the time, the first pylon for Protoss is going to be positioned in a location where you can block the first Reaper from getting into your base. Now, Clem, of course, he knows that he kind of needs to fight fire with fire. It's rarely usually if you have an opponent that does like very weird build orders at a very high level, it's rarely the correct choice to just let them do whatever they like. So you're kind of forced to grapple in the mud with them and play the dirty strategies of your own as well. So Clem actually skipping out the SCV scout, skipping out the Reaper scout as well. It's a straight Marine and then straight into a reactor here. So pretty risky, all things considered, because there's always a chance that there's like a proxy gate right over here. That's, I guess, why the Marine went to go ahead and check. But there's always a chance that there's like a proxy gate over here and that hero is already rallying loads of units across the map. Not the case in this instance, but with hero, you never truly know. It's going to be just a Twilight Council opener, though, to start things off. So a very normal start. I'm assuming at the very least this is going to be Blink first. At the very least, that's where the signs are pointing. Usually, Blink first is what Protoss players like the best. Command center on the low ground, though, is going to finish up here for Clem. Orbital command needs to fire up. There it is. 150 minerals to build a little hat on top of the command center. But, of course, you can start dropping those mules down. And mules are incredibly handy. You've basically paid for the orbital within about a 2-minute time frame or so of the thing existing. And if you assume that the game is going to go on for a little bit longer, it's pretty much always the right choice. Unless you need, like, the positional defense, in which case a planetary fortress can be helpful. Robo facility right now on the back of this for the Protoss, and, of course, we do see Blink. So, how many gateways do we build? It's going to be 3 gateways in total here for Hero, which is also extremely conventional. Hero's been quite fond of going for a 2-gate, 3-base build. He's also gone for some more 4-gate Blink Stalker openers. Oh, we are going to go for 4th. Okay, I was going to say, 3 gateways into a 3rd Nexus is what Max Specs does. That's what, like, Showtime does. Naturally, Hero does not like it, but he's selling the story here to Clem that is indeed what he's going for. So we have the 4th gateway in the main base. It means that Hero is going to be blinking the boys all around. We're going to go Observer into Prism, more than likely. And it'll be time to dance. Yeah, I hope you're wearing your dancing shoes as well. I'm wearing my tutu. I am ready for the ballet that is Protoss versus Terran. Difficult, though, of course, for Terran especially, because these units don't really have as much range. I mean, obviously, the Siege Tank does. But against good Blink Stalker control, it's really difficult. Oh, that's a disaster. Against good Blink Stalker control, you run into a load of issues. So that's a medevac full of units down the drain. Cyclone is actually the pivotal unit in a lot of situations too, when you want to lock onto the Prism. Now, the Prism is going to be heading out in just a moment. Okay. How many siege tanks are there at the moment? There's only one. Second one is about 80% of the way finished. Fair enough. We do have a nice little bit of Sim City here from Clem, creating like a secondary wall here to protect whatever he's got. Third Nexus on the back of this, though, and yeah, you have to wait for that Prism to show up. It's a little bit slow when you go for the Observer first. But now the Stalkers are ready. And where will they go? Oh, it's a fake out. Nice pickup over there on the weakened Stalker. Bunker falls. Siege tank over on the low ground in a world of trouble. Aggressive blink. What about the Raven? Raven also dies. Yeah, and when you lose a medevac full of units, right? Obviously, this is world-class Protoss play, but you just have such a tough time actually achieving anything moving forward. Like, it just feels so oppressive. Now, this is the case with all StarCraft matchups. Margin for error is tiny. But if you have a little slip-up as a Terran player, and honestly, the slip-up there from Clem is that he didn't know, but he couldn't really have known unless he decided to go for more scouting ahead of time. There is, by the way, a cheeky little Hellion now going to town getting a couple of probe kills, which is fair enough, but it's just so hard here for Terran to sustain themselves. Still, though, Clem is not in a unplayable position. Stimpack is moments away from being done. Maybe a... Oh, God. Yeah. I will not do the caster thing no more. Yeah, no. You know when the caster thing, when you just pretend that everything is still... Technically, it's manageable. Technically, if hero goes AFK, this game is still playable for Clem. Now, if it was a ladder game, you could always hope that maybe hero would disconnect. That would be another way to get the job done. But since this is a tournament match, this is from the Wardi Championship, Wardi would just resume from replay. So even a disconnect would not be enough. Dark Templar on the back of this too from hero. I kind of love it. Completely unnecessary. So the safe thing to do would be to go Robo Bay or maybe go for like a Templar Archives. Get some form of reliable splash damage. But this is hero we're talking about. The Prism is going to get sacrificed, but he's going to get 2 tanks, I think. Yeah, for his troubles. And all of this just makes the game very difficult for Clem. Now, what Clem does have is a 3rd command center. He is going to get these upgrades done eventually. Obviously, he's going to be dropping loads of mules here to try and like keep his economy going. So we'll have to see how much energy there is available for actual scans to try and deal with the Dark Templar. 4th Nexus is just about to begin here for hero, I think. Terran is not even able to secure a 3rd yet. Hero does need to be a little careful, though, that he doesn't get too carried away, right? Because this is still certainly a spot that you can overextend from, and going Dark Templar here instead of High Templar, he's even following it up with the good old Blink upgrade for the DTs. It's unnecessarily risky. But hey, this is why hero has more fans out there for Protoss than any other Protoss player on the planet. At least the little blur gets spotted. The problem is, that was the only scan. Right now, we're back up to 50 energy yet again, so there is room for one more. We have some potential detection inside of the main base in a moment. Their scan number 2 gets picked up. Dark Templar in the natural expansion kills the SCV that is building the missile turret. And while, sure, eventually these DTs will be held, it's a bit of a disaster. 11 additional workers die for Terran. Okay. Clem is going to go into the good old 3rd base. I mean, considering how terrible this game has been going for him, it's actually kind of good. I know that sounds like something that shouldn't be, but you know what I mean? Like, considering how disastrous this game has gone, supply-wise, army-wise, eco-wise, upgrade-wise, none of it is really impossible right now for Clem. Although it's still pretty bad. Dark Templar go back into the main base. There's a tech lab with a green light in it. Okay. He didn't even look at the explosion right there. Did you see that? This Prism and those Dark Templar are directed by Michael Bay. He didn't even actually, he didn't even kill the... He just let it bleed out. The tech lab was building. He didn't want to kill it himself. Ghost Academy on the back it is for Clem. By the way, this is a extremely annoying game for Clem to play. Dark Templar blink onto the tank. Like, we're not in a situation where Clem should go ahead and tap out. But he also knows that this game has been a disaster ever since the first medevac went across. But he knows, though, that this is still a Protoss who can sometimes get a little bit carried away. And hero, as fun as he is to watch, can sometimes be a bit of a clown. But this game is just utter domination from the highest ranked Protoss on the planet. He sees the army over at the third. He knows it's going to be tucked away. Siege tanks in the middle of the mineral line, literally blocking any potential mining. Stalkers, though, don't really care. They blink around the side. Immortals are working away at whatever they can hit. One of them not living up to the name. What about the other two? Well, they indeed will sustain themselves for the remainder of the game as hero wins the first map of this best of 5. Okay, next up, we find ourselves on the map Mothership. Rough start for Clem, but honestly, he did play really well. Oh, what are we doing? Ooh. So this is a map with 3 spawn locations. Sending an SCV this early on out onto the map is a little bit funky. Are we gonna go for a proxy? Yeah, we are. We're gonna go for a good old double Rex in the middle of the map. So he's positioning the barracks, yeah, in equal distance to the top corner and then also to the top left. A little bit odd. But I guess this is also the map where you least expect your opponent to go for a cheese because, well, the game flies so fast. Ever since we switched to the 12-worker beginning, right, in StarCraft 2, the economies just build up so rapidly that getting away with proxies on a 3-player map or a 4-player map, it's pretty much impossible. Let's see if hero decides to cut a corner because of it. So it's a double Rex cheese. Clem is adding gas into the mix as well, so we'll probably see some... Actually, are we going to go Tech Labs here? Tech Labs makes the most sense. A little bit of Marauder shenanigans. It's so slow, though. Yep, there it is. If hero goes for a probe scout of literally any kind and he accidentally stumbles upon this, life is going to be so much easier for him. But you know what? Considering heroes set the tone in the first match of this best of 5, maybe Clem can return the favor. Now, this is, by the way, for a $7,500 tournament. So this is not just the players having a bit of fun and having a bit of a giggle, playing for a few buckies here and there. Not the case. This is serious money. So you don't go for strategies that you don't truly believe in. Nexus here indeed does get scouted. And this is an SCV that's smiling from ear to ear. I mean, I don't even know if they have ears. I guess there's a guy inside of it, right? Piloting the thing. Anyways, if you could see the pilot smile, it would be a large one. Because seeing your opponent open up with a scoutless fast expo is pretty much the perfect spot for a proxy Marauder cheese. The only question is, when do you go? How greedy do you want to be here as Clem? Concussive shells obviously affect all units that are shot by the Marauder. It means that adepts can easily get killed. It means that stalkers just sort of die. It means that probes can't really get us around. So in theory, as long as Clem micros well, this game, and hero doesn't know this yet, but this game already kind of feels for him like it's in the bag. It's just blind blink here for hero. Hero is still not really gone out of the map. He's going to be very upset about this. Oh no! Yeah, no, this is a problem. Shield battery is nice, but the firepower of these these Marauders, it's a little too much. GG. Okay, and just like that, the score has been evened up. Now, obviously, that was a risky move by Clem, because if you fall 2-0 behind, suddenly this series may be out of reach. Right now, the scoreboard is looking pretty good. And honestly, I have to say, in game 1, Clem did play really good. It's just that, yeah, it's an uphill battle when you lose your first medevac. A little bit of nuisance here. Clem, that is, trying to block the opponent's natural expansion for a while, but he doesn't want to lose the SCV. Cancels it. He wants to rebuild it, but it's already going to be... Well, I guess his block is going to be blocked by the structure that he was trying to block. So ultimately, we should just go back home. Command Center, in the meantime, though, starts up over in the natural expansion of the Terran. And that's the thing about engineering bay blocks, right? Like, yes, you can cancel the structure and get the majority of the resources back. But when you think about it, the idea about an engineering bay block is that you delay your opponent's expansion. But in order to delay your opponent's expansion, you have to make an investment of minerals, which delays your own expansion. So you delay your opponent's expansion by delaying your own expansion. It doesn't technically achieve that much. But against somebody, yeah, that likes to play the game a little differently, it's not such a bad idea. Just immediately grabbing some of that early game control. I don't think it would do much against, for example, Max Specs, or for example, Showtime, or for example, Classic. They don't really care. But herO's certainly can. I mean, not that he really should be bothered by it, but if anybody at the highest level is going to be bothered by it, I would imagine it's more likely going to be Mr. herO. This is a good catch as well right here for Clem, who may very well be able to... no, I don't think he's going to be able to kill it, but maybe? No. Not quite. But not quite the start, the first shade that you're hoping for. Hellion as well. Hellion would have actually secured the kill. The Reaper is still hunting. herO knows, though, that it's likely on the prowl. Doesn't know exactly where it's located. Actually, did he get the kill? No. It's already inside of the main base again. No risks. herO does not want to lose another freebie. Okay. Starport inside of the main base coming up. Tech lab right next to the factory. Yeah, and Clem decides that he apparently wants to be the aggressor. I think it's the right choice. Against somebody like herO, letting herO do whatever he likes is the most dangerous thing, and Clem has some phenomenal micro, as he's already showcasing here. All these little moves are not that easy. Raven on the back of this, though, for safety purposes, but also for harassment. Not a bad idea. It's a quick Raven, so we have to keep an eye out on exactly what he decides to do with it. Blink again coming up here for herO, who is going to go into a 3-gate expand. Okay. 3-gate expand with a robo on the back of it. Reaper goes into the base. We'll scout out exactly what's going on. Does do a little bit of harassment as well, but he's mostly just here for scouting purposes. This is Clem just trying to be annoying. Force warp-ins over here as home as well, which is quite big. Because if you see your opponent warping in Stalkers at home right now, it also means that there's no prism out on the map that is warping in Stalkers in the middle. This Hellion decided to drive off into the sunset here for a little bit. But yeah, Blink now finally is going to finish up. Raven, ooh. In a pretty aggressive line, but it should be okay. Here we go again, though. Obviously, this is when the map focus shifts a little bit more in the favor of Protoss, because Terran now needs to wait until Blink is done, or until, rather, Stimpack is done, and Blink is now finished here for herO, so he gets to go out onto the map and do a little bit of exploration. Siege tank number 2 finishes in time. That one's going to be sieged up to protect the natural. There is a bunker here too. Blink into the main base yet again. Siege tank is going to reposition. Okay, this is nice though here for herO. Baits out the shots. He did, sadly for him, only get combat shields. Combat shields is definitely the nicer upgrade to lose for Terran. Like if you have to use, or if you have to lose one of them, you'd rather lose combat shields than Stimpack. It does mean, though, that it's difficult now for Clem to go for any sort of attacking when all of those upgrades finish up. Normally, you like to line up attacks when +1, Stimpack, and combat shields finish up simultaneously. Since we'll probably use this tech lab here now, the one that's rebuilt for combat shields yet again, Clem decides to, yeah, just go into the 3rd base and play this out a bit slower. Shouldn't really matter too much. It does mean, though, that herO gets to chill for at least another few minutes. And he at the very least gets to be the aggressor. Colossi are going to be the follow-up this time around, together with a 4th. At least we're going to see one here in a moment, I'm sure. Yeah, maybe he's going to just build a bunch of pylons for vision for the time being, but I think we can wait for a 4th base here. Raven is hunting. Yeah. And while you do see your units getting shot at, there's nothing really that the Observer could do. Okay. So, the Colossus here makes a lot of sense for a hero. Colossi are pretty much always a good choice in this type of setup. Alternative, of course, would be to go into High Templar. But any source of splash damage from here is big. He's already got charge finishing up. The alternative playstyle for Protoss is to go into like a heavy focus on Zealots with charge, and then of course with Blink as well. Just mass gateway unit, but while hero does mix that in from time to time, it doesn't really seem to be his go-to. He actually decides to go for both. So Colossus into a High Templar switch. Still though, the 3rd command center is now secured. Combat Shields is late, but it's going to be done now. Clem will have a lot of units. The armies are becoming a lot more sophisticated. What you ideally are looking for as a Terran here in a moment is Ghosts. EMP is big. He started up some Viking production. I guess he must have seen that the opponent went for a Robo Bay, or maybe he saw one of the Colossi at the front. Either way, the only reason to be going into Vikings now, yeah, is if you know that your opponent has got Colossus. So it turns out to be the right choice for sure. But Ghosts are always nice. Scanning the main base does reveal indeed that Storm is coming. And right away, a Ghost Academy gets queued up. So the Dance of the Spellcasters will commence very soon. We're going to see the High Templar dancing with the Ghosts. Still, this is a much more macro-focused game for the both of them. Neither really in a position where they can just go for a full shove across the map and expect to win. Hero trying to grab that economical advantage, and he does begin the Disruptors. So, in a short period of time, he basically got all sources of splash damage. So, he went from having just Zealots and Stalkers, basically just Stalkers, into first Colossus, then High Templar, then Archons, and now Disruptors. So, he's getting all of the splash damage. And actually, the Size Storm upgrade, after it got scanned in the main base, was cancelled. So, I guess the High Templar are here right now just for Archons? Dangerous play here from Hero. I really don't think you need to be canceling the Storm upgrade. Yes, it's expensive, but it means that you're now stuck playing mostly Robo. Let's see. Clem does have a pretty good army. The position, though, is a bit tricky. Disruptor is going to be moving forward here, I'm sure. There we go. Trying to get that Nova off. He gets it onto the Siege Tank, but this Terran army is massive. The Viking numbers are big enough to actually contest with the Robo Bay units, and there's a gigantic warp in of even more troops. Disruptor is going to get sniped here by Clem. Good micro. Clem did fire up 2-2 as well about a half minute ago. Vikings trying their best to snipe the Prism. Not going to be happening. Zealot still forcing the kiting here on these bio units. But this is totally okay here for Clem. Now, the one thing that Clem doesn't have is the 4th base set up on location. But he did build it. Yep, he's going to be using it right now to move on over towards that 9 o'clock position on the minimap. EMP here, by the way, is a big upgrade. If you can get a bunch of those EMPs off on charging Zealots or on Archons, it changes everything. I really love the Widow Mines as well in addition here. There's the EMP. It's a quick little animation. But Hero was hoping he was going to be able to brute force his way through this Terran army. Not quite getting the job done. Still, he's not giving up. He knows he's got more income at this point than the Terran, so you may as well test the waters. But there is a 4th base being sneaked out here, right? We've got that planetary fortress now, coming online in just a moment for Clem. Nice charge. SCVs are going to be pulled. Another Colossus is going to bite the dust. Good dance by Clem. And look at the supply count now. It's kind of insane. But during all of this, Clem just set up a casual 50 supply advantage. And this is lining up perfectly with a +2/+2 push. So 4th base secured. He can go for a 5th command center if he wants to. But 4th base is now fully secured. The Terran army is maxed out. Very well upgraded. I think he can actually go in for a potential kill. No storm really to fall back into here for hero. It's not like he's got a bunch of Templars sitting here with energy to protect the bases. Not the case at all, because he ended up canceling the research himself. Clem is moving up towards that high ground. 9 Vikings still up in the air. It means that all the Colossi are just going to get countered. Only a few shots really required. The Marines, Marauders, and Ghosts, together with the Medevacs and the Mines, well, they will just destroy everything left over on the ground. And this is basically a perfect setup here for Clem. It's rare that we see perfect games, especially macro games for Terran against Protoss. But this is absolute textbook here from the Terran. Yeah, showing us why he's considered to be the highest ranked Terran player on the planet by many people out there. It's not necessarily fleshy, it's not very spicy, he's not really mixing his strategies up that much, but he just plays the normal games better than any other Terran out there. And it's absolute domination here in game number 3, GG. Okay, next up. 10 million feet. Let's see. hero decides to go for the probe scout as early as he can. Apparently, we are done messing around. Yeah, it makes sense. The series suddenly can slip out of your fingers. You never really know, considering in game number 2, Clem was 1-0 behind in the match. Obviously, he decided to then go for the proxy Marauder cheese. So if that's the case, you may as well just play this a little bit more carefully now. Getting that probe inside of the opponent's main base is a bit costly, but you can be a bit of a jerk. And at the very least, confirm that there's nothing fishy going on. Why did they stop at 10,000 feet, by the way? Like, if we're playing a science fiction video game, right? I'm assuming we are fighting over a planet that is not Earth. Maybe we are, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. There's a lot of planets out there that will have way taller mountains than 10,000 feet. Now, I'm not sure what the largest detected mountain is currently. I don't know. You can probably figure this out. Man, this is the type of stuff that I Google at 3 in the morning when I can't sleep. What is the largest mountain ever discovered by humans on another planet? It's very specific, but I'm sure it's big. 10,000 feet is like, you know, for the Netherlands, that's a mountain. Maybe my Dutch is hanging out. Maybe my Dutch is showing here. I know in some places 10,000 feet above sea level would barely be a hill. But considering most of the country that I live in is below sea level, this is gigantic for us. Yeah. Or maybe it's not actually a measurement system, right? Maybe it's actually talking about 10,000 feet. Maybe it's actually talking about, I don't know, 5,000 Terran Marines marching in formation. I don't know. Maybe it's a map made by Quentin Tarantino. Who knows? Many options available. Now, it's going to be a triple command center build here, this time around for Clem. A little bit risky. A little bit dangerous for sure. It means that he won't have a lot of units available if Protoss decides to be aggressive. Twilight Council is going to finish up yet again. Really not too many variations of the theme so far for hero. Obviously, in game 1, he followed it up with Dark Templar, but as far as hero's playstyle goes, this is all very normal. The LE, by the way, I get this question about 5 times a week, I think, in the YouTube comment section. LE for the map names above the minimap, it stands for Ladder Edition. I'm not exactly sure why we still use it. Basically, once upon a time, we had like ladder editions of maps and then also tournament editions of maps. These days, the TE editions are no longer a thing. Ladder editions are very refined. They are barely ever bugged. So, yeah, we just use the ladder editions for tournaments too. I don't think it's really... but basically, it means like, this is the tried and true, the 1.0, the likely never going to change version of the map. So usually before maps become official ladder maps, they will just be their regular name. So in this case, 10,000 feet. But then it's a promotion to get the LE tag. Quick third Nexus here as well by hero. It is off of 3 gateways, so nothing all too crazy. He mined out the skinny little mineral fields over here to get down to the low ground. Both players actually setting up for a nice little macro game. Obviously, that's what we saw as well in the previous match, but then hero decided to take some chances, cancel Storm, go for a big push, and he just got, destroyed. But in this case, we have Clem going for a proper greedy build. And it means that he can easily go toe-to-toe here with Protoss, or feet-to-feet. Anyways, no more feet jokes. No, we don't need that. Anyways, we'll have to figure out who's going to get defeated. No, okay, sorry. Charge on the back it is right now for hero. I wouldn't be surprised if he actually goes Storm first this time. Storm first, I think, in general is really quite good. He's been favoring a lot of Robo Bay lately. +1 coming up as well. But I wouldn't mind seeing him go into the Templar archives straight into Storm once more. Now, he's playing this very safely, right? We have probes and units patrolling left, right, and center. A vision here as well from the observer down south, so you can see if a medevac group goes in. There's the Robo Bait, so not going into the Templar. At least not yet. I'm expecting Clem is going to be going down to the low ground here as well, right about right now. This base is already pretty safe. And obviously, if you look at this map, right, so 10,000 feet, it's a map that is not... It's not ideal for Blink Stalker openers, because it's difficult for Protoss to really get into the base. There's a little bit of space over here to blink up towards the high ground, but you can't really simultaneously harass over here and then also the natural expansion. It gets a bit messy. So being the more aggressive player, at least with Blink Stalkers, not so easily achieved. So hero's just playing full macro. Prism is going to be sailing around the map, but he's already built a 4th Nexus. And that one's going to be finishing over the next minute or so. Clem securing the 3rd, actually ahead in the worker count. Not usually what we see in this matchup for Terran. It's because of the timing of this 3rd. Oh, careful. Okay. Well, you're stuck now. Yep, the only way out is to recall because a Viking is coming. Okay. I guess actually as far as feet go, Stalkers have a lot of them. I think the average Terran unit that has feet only has 2, right? Do we have Terran units with more than... Yeah. Goliaths? How many feet do Goliaths have? Oh, Widowmines have 4. Widowmines have 4 little feet. Not a bad idea. Protoss units, though, look at the amount of feet they have, man. They kind of walk on their toes. Protoss units might be cats. Anyways, bunkering the natural expansion that was built for Stalker defense is going to get roasted. Heroes once more giving this attack a shot. It's a dangerous decision, but it's trying to open the door for the Zealots to go in. Observer on the left trying to get some vision. But so far, Clem seems to be locked down very nicely. Really difficult here for Protoss to actually move through, although he's going to still try. Blinks forward. Snipes the siege tank in the end, but that came at the cost of way more Stalkers than he budgeted for. Yeah, Clem is just a beast to attack into, man. Colossus now also pays the price for all of this. And while I don't think Clem can really retaliate and go for a counterattack, he can try. Instead, we're going into a 4th command center. +2/+2. Yeah, would make sense. He fires it up. Thank you for making me look smart. I always appreciate that. I don't have much knowledge, so, you know, when the little bit of knowledge I have gets yeah, thank you for making me look smart, Clem. I appreciate that. Dark Shrine on the back it is right now for hero. So no Storm. I still find it very funny how a lot of Terrans complain about Storm being too powerful, and then Protoss is like, actually, it got nerfed. How do you... For some reason, Zerk and Terrans agree that it's stronger now with the new version of it, with the recent patch, and Protoss players seem to agree amongst each other that it's actually a weaker version of the spell. Anyway. Instead of going into the High Templar, we go into the Dark Templar. We're going to be sending out the Invisible Men, but already a Ghost Academy is coming up. Extra gateways, or Terran gateways, barracks added into the mix, up to a grand total of 8. That is usually where Terran players will stop producing what a wise man once called gateways. That's usually where they cut it off. We'll probably see a planetary fortress out front here in a moment when Clem feels like he can actually get over there, but he's playing it safely. Yeah. So this is the style that when the recent patch first went live, Terran players could not pull this off for the life of them, right? Like, they tried to go for this approach, but for some reason, they couldn't quite squeeze any wins out of it. herO's once more coming in, though, and that is so many Zealots, but the EMPs are good. Those ghosts spawning right at the perfect moment. Stalkers kind of try to go around the corner, not really achieving too much. Command Center landed in the middle of all of that. A little overly ambitious, and it may be dragging Clem out now. Clem needs to be careful that he does not overextend just because his command center was overextended, but yeah, he's going to pay the price for this move, and the CC dies. A new one will start up, but that's a big win for hero. Hero now on 5 base economy against the Terran, who's stuck on just 3. Clem's army is better in a straight-up fight, but that's exactly the problem. How in the world do you get a straight-up fight here? Now, he did build another command center over here a while ago, right? That was intended to be the 5th. I think trying to move that on over in position to still secure the 4th is the right move. Hero, though, celebrates with another base. He did go for the Dark Templars shrine, but he doesn't actually have any of the DTs out yet. Ooh, big EMP yet again. We decide to blink into Stalkers. This is a very choked off Terran army. That Colossus group is having a grand old time. 12 and 23 kills. Respectively, one of them dies. Viking still up in the air. A little bit of mismanagement here by Clem, who now dips below 150 supply. In the meantime, we have another command center just trying its best to achieve what the previous one couldn't. Nice snatch right there with the Prism. Actually saving the Colossus just barely. Yeah, you don't have to be very bright to be a command center pilot, apparently. Whoever is piloting these things, Clem is not putting his brightest men in there. Planetary Fortress is attempted, but a siege tank already dies. SCV train transfers on over in this direction. In the meantime, the Immortals and the Colossus are trying their best, but the SCVs that did arrive are repairing. One Zealot trying its best to be as annoying as possible. And even though this feels kind of bad for Clem, I think it's okay. Yeah, I like that hero is using the Immortals here. Ooh, the Immortals just pound those structures. Speaking of them, though, they will fall now, not living up to their names, but already so much value has been gained. Overextension, though, for hero. Hello, lad. What are you doing? Overextension for hero. I don't think he really needed to be losing all of that. But I guess what his plan is to basically never allow this 4th. Just get that 6 base economy up and just send in the skeletons. Send in the troops. The resources lost, though, heavily favoring Terran at this point in time. So some of that eco advantage has been negated. Hero is going to keep warping in more and more units, and he's going to try, at the very least, attempt to see if he can win this game by causing so much chaos. Dark Templar going around. But so far, Clem has held. It was messy. There's certainly room for improvement there. Oh, big EMPs. Look away, guys. These are naked Dark Templar. Or uncloaked. Although they are wearing a cloak. It's confusing. Good moves here by Clem. Excellent moves. Fired up 3-3 in the middle of all of it. More and more command centers are out. And I think Clem can be very happy with the outcome. Yeah, in isolation, some of those fights could have gone better for Terran. Especially the fight on the ramp was a little bit problematic. But hero's strategy of trying to throw more stuff at the problem does not seem to be working out. Although he will still try and make a similar move here on the left. That is about 1,000 minerals, though, worth of zealots. And while he has more income still, he can't really keep affording to throw away these units. Yeah, he can't really afford to throw away that many troops. New Nexi are building, though. herO's original plan was to go for a high-tech army. But since then, he has swapped on over to the Gateway Man style. So we're up to 12 gateways here, double robo. And effectively, he's just warping in as many units as he can. Key, though, with the strategy, is to never allow your opponent a fifth. If Clem secures a fifth, everything is going to be impossible moving forward for Protoss. So that's why we're sending in just what looks like 100 zealots at a time. He's desperately trying to get this Terran player's economy down. Clem needs to be careful. Disruptors are so difficult to deal with. One Nova can be an absolute disaster, and that's when the Zealots start playing Ring Around the Rosie, at least the ones that can't be within range. EMPs, mass repairs, are we gonna kill the planetary? He will in the end, but that was extremely costly. Some reinforcing Terran troops waiting on the site, some snipes attempt as well. That's, okay, not gonna work, even though the concussive shells slow down the retreat. 168 Zealots have died. Rarely a cost-efficient trait. That orbital command that was previously there to replace the fourth is going to try out again to see if it can move in. Of course, with the latest update, those ghosts are now 125 HP. On the previous patch, those ghosts would have died, but not the case anymore. Still, though, we now have Zealots going to town. Dark Templar running left, right, and center, and Purification Novas do connect. And what was looking like a failed attempt at Chaos may still be working out here for herO. Yeah. Clem is trying to clean up whatever is still left over. But suddenly, his economy has been knocked down to a meager 33 SCVs. herO doing what herO does best. Now, the Terran's army is massive, though, right? So we were fighting economy. The traits on the army, much better for Terran. So this is the big advantage that Clem can lean on. Problem is, he can't really leave his bases. If he leaves his bases right now and goes for a full assault, herO will be all over him with Zealot run-bys. If he can somehow force an engagement, that'd be big. But look, here we go again. herO immediately sends in the group of Zealots towards the left. Just to distract, just to buy time, just to get that eco advantage to kick in some more. These two, by the way, have accidentally become neighbors over here in the top right-hand corner. Neither of them knows. I also have new neighbors. I don't know who they are either. So, you know, I wanted to make fun of Clem and herO, but... maybe they should go introduce themselves. I don't know. The EMP is here to keep this Protoss army at bay. Maybe they can do like a Nexus housewarming or something. It's probably festive. I feel like Protoss fireworks shows have got to be glorious. Anyhow. The previous goal, though, of herO was to never secure, or let the Terran player secure, a fifth. And even though Clem has paid the price for it, this is also risky. He does have the base going. This fight, not so bad, though, for Clem. Those liberation zones are really freaking good. The healing of those medevacs onto the weakened Terran front line is really strong as well. We are going to see a counterattack in the top right, but that is another overextension from herO. But look at the resources that he's got available. He can warp in another 30-something Zealots and still be fine. For the time being, it's just Colossi on the production tab. He's busy trying to micro the Stalkers. 13 gateways is actually not that much. We may need some more. Either way, Zealots are moving in towards the left side yet again, but Clem wins a fight on all fronts. Now, attacking this base is not even very useful. There's nothing really to gain. He keeps on trying to kill the one depot and the bunker that was set up there, and he finally achieved that goal. But sometimes you gotta wonder, what am I actually trying to do? One Dark Templar here, trying its absolute best. He tried. He died. This game, though, if you look at the minimap alone, it feels like Terran is getting owned. But this army here from Clem is beastly. And that's the one downside of playing the Gateway Man style. You just don't have that many powerful units. Like, Stalkers and Zealots are really good in large numbers, but if the Terran maxes out, which is where Clem is currently at, he can just blow up armies and buildings with ease. Fusion Core coming up. That will be really good for Liberator ranged, but also for the Caduceus reactor upgrade. Trying to increase the energy on the Metavex here will be extremely beneficial. Still a good snipe there on one of the orbital commands. Speaking of orbital commands, though, we have a new CC in the top right-hand corner. Planetary Fortress. Gonna come up. Based on the left side of the map now. The 9 o'clock position acquired by hero. There's the Caduceus reactor. So this doubles the energy regeneration on Metavex. Extremely powerful. So hero's army effectively has been as strong as it's ever going to be for a long time now. Okay, never mind. The Caduceus gets the Knight. My point is, though, that this Terran player is still improving his units significantly. Hero's army is not going to get bigger than this. Ugh. Yeah, and we have seen this many times over the last few months, where for like 80% of the game, it kind of looks like Protoss is winning. But then the tides turn. Because these maxed out Terran armies are monstrous. Still, though, obviously you can reposition really quickly using these recall abilities. Yeah, the ability is on cooldown on that Nexus. We do see another Planetary Fortress dying in the end. Colossi, though, will also get sniped. Not quite enough Vikings up in the air to one-shot him. Okay. Alternative choice here for hero would be to make a transition to Skytos. The problem with that is that it's already a bit too late. You should have started up upgrades for that ages ago if that was really the plan, and it just slows the game down a ton. You would give the Terran a lot of movement around their side of the map, and suddenly they will take half of it. So Clem is playing this out very smartly. Reading the opponent very well. Shuts down the base over here at the 9 o'clock position. And right now, I mean, the economies, yeah, they've been like... It's been like a 20-minute long advantage for Protoss. But Clem just will not die. Look at the resources lost. 42,000 versus 25,000 minerals. That's crazy. Clem slowly adding on the orbital command count as well. Now that he's maxed, he may as well add on a few more CCs, build a few more orbitals. Adding on a secondary fusion core now too. Protoss army has moved towards the left side of the map. Terra needs to run on over in this direction ASAP. Not that many Liberators anymore, actually, but we do have a secondary squad of units hiding inside of the main base. This choke point, previously a problem for Terran. Okay, now a bit of an issue here for hero. Dark Templar gets scanned. Clem saw the little blurry movement, decides to counter it before they even ever engage. No planetary anymore in the middle, though, and that could be a problem. Hero is going to try and shove his army up this ramp, counterattack in the meantime on the right side. And now the 3 o'clock base is also going to fall. Clem is achieving what Hero is trying to do with a very small army relative to what Protoss is doing it with. Clem can now seemingly keep this Protoss army at bay with like 20 supply less or so. Maybe even more than that. Looks like the orbital, though, will die. I think at this point, the bigger loss would be the fusion core. Aggressive blink forward. Here's that hit squad of the Nexus on the right side now joining in as well. Vikings do snipe another Colossus. And what looked like a decent fight initially turns out to be an absolute disaster for Hero. Now that the Terran army is all together, the big Protoss units have disappeared. And I've got a feeling that, well, if Clem wants it, he can kill that Nexus too. Beautiful game here by Clem, by the way. Seriously. How many matches have I seen where Terrans cannot hold the pressure? And it looked like he was falling apart there for a moment because he was down to 30-something workers. When Hero was sitting at like 85, I think? Little Dark Templar run by yet again. But these DTs are becoming expensive. And there's plenty of scans available for Clem. Yeah. The orbital count is not incredible, but it's good enough. Apparently, we're trying to do another planetary over here, but it's going to be difficult to achieve. And as we already settled earlier, the command center pilots here are not the brightest. I think it's time to send the Terran units in. He hasn't seen the natural expansion of hero ever since the early game. It's not really been part of his plan at all. But I wonder if we can maybe start heading on over in that direction. Hero's still going for the counterattacks, though, making it difficult for Terran to properly commit. Clem instead decides to just focus his attention on securing an orbital command over here. Seems very ambitious. Dark Templar run by yet again. This time around moving towards the top right-hand corner, but these DTs are expensive. This planetary is not going to fall, and it looks like Clem does not even have to go for an all-out assault. Brilliant series here by the French Terran. Holding that pressure is not easy. We see hero winning so many of his PVTs just by, like, creating chaos, causing too much trouble, and then eventually the Terran player rolling over and just not being able to keep it together. But Clem managed that expertly. GG.